The dawn cycle rose over the emerald plains of Arda Prime as the great citadel stirred with anxious life. For months, the halls of the queen had known only grief, for her daughter Lyra had vanished during a diplomatic mission in the disputed territories. Many believed she had been taken by the void storms that swallowed ships whole. Others whispered darker tales of enemy traps. The queen herself refused to accept loss. Yet even her fierce hope had dimmed through the passing days. The sky that morning shimmered with soft gold when the outpost guards observed a streak of silver cutting through the upper clouds. They rushed to their stations as the craft descended unevenly toward the outer landing ground. The small vessel bore no markings of the Arden fleet and carried the scars of battle. Alarms rang through the citadel as soldiers hurried to surround the landing zone. When the ramp lowered, silence fell like a heavy cloak. A slender figure supported herself against the side of the craft, her once radiant armor cracked and dulled. Her hair, pale as frostlight, framed eyes that carried exhaustion but also fierce determination. The guards gasped, for the missing princess stood before them, and beside her stood a human. He was taller than she, his uniform torn and soot-stained, yet he held himself with steady calm. His name was Alan, and though none present knew him, he placed himself slightly forward, as though he wished to shield Lyra from any threat. The guards hesitated, torn between joy at her return and confusion at his presence. Lyra raised her voice, though fatigue quivered within it. She requested immediate audience with her mother and declared Alan her protector. The guards obeyed without question, for no one refused the will of the royal daughter. The huge gates of the citadel opened slowly as the pair approached. Inside, the grand hall glowed with soft blue fire and tall crystal pillars. The queen stood at the far end, her posture unbroken, but her face tight with a long weight of fear. Her silver crown reflected the hall's light as she waited in unmoving silence. When Lyra stepped into the chamber, the queen moved with uncharacteristic speed. Her arms wrapped around her daughter with such fierce relief that even the waiting council lowered their gazes. Joy trembled through her voice as she whispered thanks to the stars for the return of her child. Only after holding Lyra for long moments did the queen look beyond her and notice the human. The hall grew tense as Alan bowed politely. He introduced himself with a calm voice that carried across the chamber. He explained that he had found Lyra on a shattered outpost where enemy remnants had taken her captive. He had infiltrated the site while tracking distress signals from his own destroyed patrol craft. By chance or destiny, he encountered her. Together they fought free, survived the wilderness storms, and repaired a derelict shuttle. The queen listened carefully, her expression unreadable. Humans were known to the Ardan Empire, but they were considered distant allies at best and unpredictable outsiders at worst. She questioned Alan with steady precision. She asked how he managed to protect her daughter against enemies far stronger. Alan answered not with pride, but with simple truth. He stated that Lyra had saved him as much as he had saved her. He praised her courage, her quick mind, and her refusal to surrender despite injury and loss of power. His sincerity echoed through the hall. Even the council murmured with grudging respect. Lyra stood tall beside him, her voice unwavering, though her body trembled with fatigue. She told the court that Alan had risked his life repeatedly for her, even when he owed her nothing. She said he had walked through firestorms and shadows to bring her home. Her words carried weight, for no royal daughter spoke lightly of such loyalty. The queen dismissed the court and summoned a private meeting with the two. In her chamber, the atmosphere softened, though tension lingered beneath every breath. She asked her daughter to describe everything that had happened. Lyra obeyed, though her voice grew thick as she recounted the horrors she had faced. She spoke of the prison cell carved into the stone of a broken moon. She told of the mercenary clan that sought to use her as ransom in the brewing war. She described how Alan had slipped into the compound with nothing but a shattered beacon and the will to survive. The Queen listened with a rising mix of relief and anger at the dangers her daughter endured. When Lyra finished speaking, the Queen turned her gaze to Alan. She asked what he wanted now that he had returned safely to Arda Prime. Alan answered with humility. He said he wanted nothing beyond ensuring Lyra reached her home. He expressed his desire to return to human space once his ship was repaired or replaced. Lyra seemed troubled by this. Her eyes flickered toward him with unspoken meaning. The Queen noticed. The alliance between humans and Ardans was fragile. Trust was rare. Yet here her daughter stood, alive only because this human had valued her life as much as his own. The Queen considered the implications as she assessed the young man who stood before her. With quiet strength, she granted him temporary guest status with full protection under royal decree. She commanded the Citadel engineers to repair the shuttle. She also requested his presence at the upcoming council assembly. Alan bowed again, understanding that refusal would be dishonorable. As days passed within the Citadel, the people of Arda Prime grew curious about the human who walked beside their princess. Some viewed him with respect, while others watched with suspicion. Alan remained calm and respectful toward all. He trained with the Royal Guard, assisted the engineers, and learned basic Ardan customs. His discipline impressed even those who doubted him. Lyra visited him often. At first she claimed her visits were to update him on political matters. Yet as time passed her reasons became less formal. She enjoyed speaking with him about his home world and his dreams beyond the war. He listened with patience as she described the history of her people and her hopes to bring peace to the border systems. Their connection deepened through shared memories of hardship. Rumors spread. Not all welcomed these rumors. A faction within the council viewed Alan as a threat who might influence the princess. They warned the Queen that allowing a human so close to the royal line could undermine their authority. They suggested that his presence might be part of a hidden scheme. Yet the Queen had seen the integrity in his actions. She refused to banish him without cause. The tension reached a breaking point. The night enemy scouts breached the outer defense. The Citadel shook under the force of distant explosions. The city alarms rang through every corridor. Soldiers ran to their stations as the night sky lit with streaking fire. The enemy had come seeking what they believed had been stolen from them. The Queen ordered Lyra to remain in the inner chamber where security was strongest. Yet Lyra insisted on joining the defense. Her wounds had healed and her spirit burned with determination to protect her people. Alan refused to let her go alone. He declared that he had sworn to protect her. The Queen hesitated for a moment, then gave reluctant consent. The battle outside raged with violent intensity. Enemy craft swept through the air, releasing bursts of plasma fire. Ardan strike teams moved with coordinated grace, yet struggled to hold the lines. Alan and Lyra joined the front near the eastern gate, where enemy soldiers had breached the wall. Alan fought with precision born from harsh training. He moved through the chaos with quiet focus. He shielded Lyra from incoming fire and cut through enemy formations with disciplined strength. Lyra channeled the natural energy of her lineage to create shimmering barriers that protected both of them. Side by side, they pushed back the invaders until the enemy lines began to falter. When the final craft fled into the night, the Citadel stood bruised but unbroken. The people cheered their victory. They carried word to the Queen that her daughter and the human had played a decisive role in defending the city. The next day, the council assembly convened. The Queen addressed the gathered leaders with pride and resolve. She declared that Alan had proven himself loyal, not through oath, but through action. She announced her intention to strengthen ties between their two peoples, beginning with recognition of Alan as an honored ally. The council murmured in surprise, but none could deny the truth of his bravery. Alan stepped forward to speak. He stated that he had acted only because it was right, and because Lyra deserved protection. He insisted he sought no title or reward. His humility left a deep impression on all. Lyra then spoke with gentle clarity that carried through the hall. She said that her survival and the survival of the Citadel had been possible because Alan stood with her. She acknowledged the bond that had formed between them. The hall grew silent at her words. The Queen rose and stepped toward the two. She placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder and addressed both with steady calm. She said that unity, born from hardship, was a gift that must be honored. She granted Alan a place within the royal guard if he wished it, and offered him the choice to remain on Arda, prime as a bridge between their worlds. Alan felt the weight of her words and the meaning behind them. He looked to Lyra, who watched him with quiet hope. The decision formed in his heart with clear certainty. He accepted the Queen's offer. The hall erupted in approval. For the first time in many cycles, the people sensed a future shaped not by fear, but by partnership. Alan took his place at Lyra's side as the Citadel began rebuilding. Together, they walked through the recovering city and witnessed the granite.